Well, it's official. Jimmie Johnson looks unbeatable. Old tires, starting last, and a backup car, and wins his 150. And a photo finish over Kevin Harvick, right there at the line. Can't believe it. Chad Knaus, no tires the last call. 4 laps to go. Jimmie wanted track position. He got it, and he held on. And they were pounding the heck out of him, too. He thought he was going to go in the grandstands. They were hitting him so hard. Hard hits, Daytona, Thursday. Mike Mullen from MikeMullen.net. And a lot of action at the racetrack today. Daytona Speed Weeks continues, and Kasey Kahne maybe pinpointing some of the problems that Jack Roush has had over in the Ford camp. Kasey Kahne, second, remember, to Kevin Harvick in the shootout. Close race there. Kasey wins, beats Hendrick-powered Tony Stewart to win the second 150 today. That shows me Ford's got power. Ford's got stuff. It's not the equipment. Kasey Kahne's making the rest of the guys over there in that camp scratch their heads. Kenny Francis, too. They got a good thing going. They've had a good thing going. This sort of solidifies things, if you ask me. In Danica, if it doesn't rain on Friday, and it's supposed to, should be qualifying for Saturday's Danica 300, or is it the Danica 500 on Sunday? I can't remember. Danica Series, Danica. Everybody's talking about Danica. You wouldn't believe the mob of media around her. NASCAR loves it. Daytona loves it. I'm not so sure about the people out in California because they were hoping to be able to have her NASCAR debut at their track next week, but it's going to be this weekend, Saturday. She talked again today, cool as a cucumber, handling the pressure really well. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who ostensibly owns her car, says, hey, he likes it because nobody's bothering him. Pretty good on that side of the equation. She was 26th fastest the first round of nationwide practice. She finished 6th in the ARCA 200 last weekend and decided to run the 300. Moved up to 5th in practice today. Then came in and talked. She's a good talker, good looker, good driver. Danica, you're going to be hearing a lot more about her. I know you might be getting a little tired, but hey, Danica Mania, you know what that's all about. Kasey Kahne, winning in a photo finish over Tony Stewart, and he was getting pushed by Kurt Busch. So Kasey Kahne beats Kurt Busch, who had the best finishing non-Hendrick car last season overall in the championship, and beats Tony Stewart, who dominated the regular season last year. Tells me Kasey's off to a good start. There's something about the tires. The tires and the bumpy track and the cold weather. It's cold. It was like 42 degrees this morning. Trucks are over there practicing tonight for Friday night's race. It's cold. You better bring a jacket if you're coming to the races. And NASCAR came up with this new rule on the green-white checkered. After last Saturday's shootout finish, which was sort of like anticlimactic considering the action that was going on when finally Jeff Gordon ran into Greg Biffle and they all crashed out in the third turn. Now NASCAR says it's going to try 3 attempts at a green-white checkered before calling it a night. Didn't have to use it today. They were ready to use it in the 2 150s, but they didn't have to. 2 photo finishes. Good racing. And Michael Waltrip made the race. Might be his last Daytona 500. He was emotional. He was in the first race, the first 150, crashed out, had to sweat out things. They have a very arcane way of deciding some of the spots in the Daytona 500, and he had to use a measure of luck and some qualifying speed from last weekend to make it in. Finally did. Might be his swan song. He doesn't know how many more races he's actually going to run. He's going to run Talladega, and he'll run Daytona. We know that now. And what else? Kind of hard to tell. And the crashing continues. Jeff Gordon, the latest victim, going to a backup for the 500. He got caught up in a crash in his 150. He says it was a lot wilder than he expected in the 150s. Of course, he was the one in the middle of all the action Saturday night in the shootout, but he said the 150s would be cool. They weren't. And he says it's going to be even wilder in the 500. Kasey Kahne says the last 200 miles of the 500 might be pretty frantic, but the first 300 miles, he figures, after about 25 laps on tires, teams are going to kind of stretch it out and settle down. I don't know. These guys aren't adjusting very well. NASCAR's got a hands-off policy on penalizing them for rough driving, but right now they've got all they can handle, just holding on to the car. Every driver says that's the deal. And Kasey Kahne, he's starting to look really good. Likes a loose race car? He's got a loose race car. But he's not complaining. Kasey Kahne and Jimmie Johnson with an amazing performance. I tell you, I think it's going to be a good Daytona 500. Mike Mulholland, Thursday, Speedweeks, Daytona. Jimmie Johnson and Kasey Kahne winning photo finishes.